Welcome to Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. Today's show is a mailbag before Week 4. A couple days away from the Dolphins hosting the Tennessee Titans on Monday Night Football, and I wanted to come up here and answer some questions from the real ones. But first, make sure you're following us on Instagram. At Dolphins Today IG is our handle. We are less than 100 followers away from 500, and I want to get there as soon as possible. We post daily content over there in between our videos here on the channel. So if you want to be up to date on everything surrounding the Dolphins, follow us on Instagram and make sure you're subscribed. All right, first question incoming from Barry B, who jumped the line with a $2 super chat. Cam Ward, whoopsie dudes, he actually knocked something down there. Next year. Obviously, Cam Ward has had a terrific start to the season for the Miami Hurricanes as they are continuing to surge up the AP poll, top 10 in the NCAA world. And here's my thing. As much as I would love Cam Ward in a Dolphins uni, keeping him in the 305, I don't see it as feasible because with Tua, who will be entering his 4-year contract extension next year will be year 1. You're going to at least play that out 1 or 2 years before you draft a quarterback in the first round to potentially replace him. And I think Cam Ward will ultimately go in the top 10, top 15 of the NFL draft. And this roster just has too many needs outside of quarterback to waste a top 10, top 15 pick potentially if they were selecting there on a quarterback. Like they need to get the offensive line shored up in the interior, on the outside, potentially finding a long-term replacement for Austin Jackson or Teron Armstead if you didn't think Patrick Paul was it, or getting a more lockdown interior defensive lineman, or even a replacement for potentially Javon Holland, who's a free agent this year. So to me, I don't think using a first-round pick on Cam Ward would be worth it. Now, if you want to draft a quarterback in round 2 or round 3, because you're going to have 2 comp picks at the end of the 3rd round, thanks to Robert Hunt and Christian Wilkins, that I'm in on. But Cam Ward's going to be a first-round pick, and I would not use a first-rounder on a QB if I was the Dolphins. All right, we'll move over to Tim Boo here with a question. Should Mike McDaniel stop calling the plays? It was horrible play calling. I would agree. I think he was terrible against the Seattle Seahawks. They need to run the football more. It's like Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side. Run the dang ball. That's got to be the Miami Dolphins with Devon Achane this upcoming week because they were actually effective in running in between the tackles, up the middle. The Miami Dolphins average 4.8 yards per carry. 13th in the NFL. So they are a top half NFL football team when running it up the middle with Devon Achane and others. Why aren't we doing that more? They barely run the football. And sure, they've had issues running it in the red zone and inside the 10-yard line, but why can't we, at least in between the 20s, run it up the middle, and then, especially with 2 out, then you get in your play-action game a little bit more. You need to become a run-first football team, and to me, Mike McDaniel in the first game without Tua, first full game, did not put enough emphasis on running the football. Tried to throw it like he had Tua back there still, and you simply don't got that. Start Tyler Huntley this week, and then run a lot more running plays, and you have an option to have read options as well with Huntley, and you'll become a more layered offense. Who you got this week? Type MIA for the Dolphins, type TEN for the Titans. As of filming this mailbag, we are currently 1-point favorites. I'll actually take the Dolphins. I think they win this game. Will Levis is horrible. The offensive line for Tennessee is even worse. And their defense is good, but I'll take the Dolphins at home in a tight one. My guy Chad Jones with a question. Our team is done this year. Shouldn't we shoot for the number 1 pick? Well, I don't think the season is done, Chad Jones. I don't. And even though Tua is still going to miss the next 3 games at minimum, those 3 games are against really bad football teams. At home against the Titans, on the road against the Patriots, bye week in week 6, and then on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. Those 3 are bottom 5 football teams in the NFL, without a question. And now you might say without Tua, maybe the Dolphins are a bottom 5 football team. And you might be right, based on how they looked against the Seahawks. But if they're playing 3 bottom 5 football teams over the next 3 weeks, then there is a chance they can win 2 or 3 of those games. And if you win 2 of the next 3, you're looking at a 2, or what is that? it'd be a 3-3 record when Tua returns. Your season's not over there. And if you go 3-0, you got a 4-2 record with Tua coming back. And the season's definitely not over there. So as long as you go 2-1 over the next 3, season's not done when Tagovailoa returns in Week 8. And I believe that the Dolphins still can make the playoffs in an AFC conference that does not look as good as advertised right now. A lot of teams 1-2 or 0-3. All right, we got my guy Satori GL coming in here. Should the Bryce Young, do you think we should trade for Bryce Young? I was open to the idea initially, but the Panthers don't want to trade Bryce Young. They've said that. They're committed to him as their backup right now after Andy Dalton balled out against the Raiders in Week 3. I also don't think it would be smart to trade for a quarterback because if you traded for a QB, you'd only get 2 starts out of him. If you were to make a move for a quarterback, that should have came last week before Week 3 because then you would have still gotten him for Week 4, Week 5, and Week 7. But with that bye week in there and Tua coming back hopefully in Week 8, there is no need to trade for a quarterback to only get 2 weeks out of him. Start Tyler Huntley, and I believe Huntley will be able to get the job done in the next couple of weeks to at least where you pull off a couple wins against bad rosters. Make sure you hit that sub button because we're currently losing our subscriber battle against the Tennessee Titans channel, Titans Today. If we want to beat our opponent on the field on Monday, we need to beat them in our sub battle. We didn't beat Seahawks today, and we got smoked. Correlation? Likely. Hit that sub button because we also do post daily content and go live for every Dolphins game. Tori Dixon with a question. What 3 positions would you prioritize next draft? Number 1, offensive line. No questions asked. Whether it be another offensive tackle, whether it be an interior guy. Remember, folks, some of you got after me, but I said back in April when I graded the Chop Robinson pick at 21st overall as a C+, some of you got on me for that. And I like Chop Robinson, the player. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. But what did I say the Dolphins should have done at 21? Graham Barton, the interior offensive lineman from Duke. Don't think he would have been helpful right now, right? No more Robert Jones. No more Liam Eichenberg, potentially. I think the Dolphins missed the window there. So if you're looking next draft, it's got to be offensive line number 1. I'd probably put defensive line number 2 because you're going to need a long-term guy with Calais Campbell being on the outs potentially soon on the interior. And then I'd put number 3 either at backup quarterback. I think you need to draft one on day 2 in the 2nd or 3rd round, or safety to potentially replace Javon Holland if he ultimately leaves in free agency, as he is an unrestricted free agent. But maybe the Dolphins use the franchise tag on Holland. That's possible too. But those are my 3.5 positions. Offensive and defensive line 1, 2, backup QB, safety 3, 4. Nathan with a question. Do you think the Dolphins coaching needs some rework? What would you like to see different since the horrible performance? Well, I think the special teams needs to get better. I'll say this, and I'll start here. Danny Crossman, he needs to be better. Too many penalties on special teams, whether it be when the Dolphins were punting the football or returning and receiving the punt. Just an absolute disaster on that side of it. And I said that Mike McDaniel may need to give up play calling, but I'm not there yet. I'd like to see a couple more weeks of Mike McDaniel. I'll tell you this, if that offense continues to struggle, granted without Tua, I don't care. We just saw the Panthers go to their backup quarterback in Andy Dalton, and they scored 36 points. So it is possible to score points in the NFL with a backup quarterback. Mike McDaniel needs to be better over the next couple of weeks, or the chatter around him potentially having to give up play calling will absolutely grow louder and louder. But off the top of my head, Danny Crossman and special teams needs to be much better. Right now, the best coach on the staff, it's Anthony Weaver. He's been terrific on the defensive side of the football field for the first 3 weeks, for the most part. Bill's a little iffy, but rest weeks 1 and 3, pretty solid if you ask me. Make sure you get this Dolphins Q-Zip to represent the Dolphins on game days, when you're out shopping, golfing, to dinner. It doesn't matter. That's why I love quarter zips. They're so versatile. Chatsports.com/Dolphins Q-Zip. Get this sweet thing. They have also multiple colors: aqua, orange, black, white. Awesome. Old school logo. Get it right now. Chatsports.com/Dolphins Q-Zip. Riley Shea coming in with a question. #Dolphins. Given the state of the Dolphins and Raiders, which team favored to win in November? Well, we would anticipate, as long as Tua doesn't suffer any setbacks and he returns relatively close to that Week 8 eligibility time, Tua will be back. The Raiders are a bad football team, even though it's in Las Vegas, I believe. Or is it in Miami? I don't remember. I think it's actually in Miami. I'll take the Dolphins to win that game. I don't think the Raiders are good whatsoever. They just got boat raced by the Panthers at home. Give me the Dolphins because I think Tua will be back. Daniel Dawson with a question. Are we nothing without Tua? Well, the numbers are staggering, Daniel. And as we've seen this team, as much as people want to say Tyreek Hill and Mike McDaniel made Tua, well, the numbers without Tua for Mike McDaniel have been pretty bad. I believe it's 1-7. The offense has really struggled to score. And I also put a lot of blame on Mike McDaniel for this. He has obviously given the okay to Chris Grier that I'm fine with Skylar Thompson being the backup quarterback. I think he could execute my offense. Well, Mike, he can't. He stinks. And I am sick and tired of watching Skylar Thompson play. Nothing without Tua. That's a little aggressive, but I do believe they need to find a backup quarterback that's better than Thompson. Maybe it's Tyler Huntley, and hopefully Tua can stay healthy when he returns because it's been ugly without him over the past couple of seasons. Dolphins do play the Titans on Monday Night Football. We asked who you got, but give me your confidence level in a win this Monday. Even though I picked the Dolphins to win this game, I can't say I'm a lot of confident or very confident. I'll give it an even 5.1, just above 5. Gabriel, where's the cheetah motion? Well, they've still ran a lot of motion, Gabriel. I believe the number I saw today was 84.7% of plays for the Dolphins have featured motion. That's second highest in the NFL, I believe only trailing the New Orleans Saints. Correct me if I'm wrong in there, but I know they're second in the NFL. I just can't remember if it was the Saints or not higher. They've run a lot with Clint Kubiak as their OC. They've had in motion quite a bit. They just haven't really scripted him open, and he hasn't got open as much as he has in the past. But I do expect them to continue to run that motion-styled offense, Gabriel, and hopefully they're able to get Tyreek Hill more involved because, 3 catches for 40 yards on Sunday against the Seahawks? That's flat out unacceptable. I don't care who's at quarterback. Find him the football. He is your best playmaker. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Like I said off the top, make sure you're following us on Instagram at Dolphins Today IG. We're posting content in between each video every single day. We're under 100 followers from 500. Help us out. It would mean a ton. And I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Go Fins.